YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage back. Actually need to get a drink. Water, don't worry. So yeah, I'm playing a online battle as Bretonnia against the Greenskins. I brought a little bit different army than what I did last time, because I kind of expected that my opponent may try and hard counter Air Force spam. He's got a Doom Diver back here. I'd certainly like to get rid of that. Let's approach with caution. I've spread my line out a little further too to make it a little bit harder for something like a Doom Diver to be effective. Where's the range on that thing? Oh, it's already in range, and it's beating the crap out of my Grail Knights. Or not Grail Knights, Knights of the Realm. Let's adjust real quick. Don't want to make it too easy for him to get my Knights. Let's move into the woods. Should give me a little bit of cover. There we go. So I've got a ton of infantry this time. What's he firing at? Is he still... Yeah, it looks like he's still targeting my cavalry, so I'm gonna double back. Or no, he's targeting my paladin. That's fine, my paladin's got a healing potion, so happy to do that. If he's gonna charge me with infantry, I need to sit still, because I have charge defense against all, so if all of a sudden he starts to charge me, I need to stop and brace. See a black orc, some big uns. The big uns concern me a little more than, well, I mean the black orcs concern me too. My infantry's cost effective, it's most certainly not invulnerable. Okay, I'm still... Whoops. How am I trying to pause it? I'm used to playing campaign tonight. Okay, he's targeting my Knights of the Realm again. Okay, that's what I expected. I expected to see archers pop up to help take care of my Air Force. I'm gonna start shooting his big uns. Let's see what else we can make pop up here. Wow, that Doom Diver's frustrating. I'm gonna start swinging a paladin out here. Swing one around this way too. Let's reveal any hidden units he's got here. More big uns. Okay. Got him to kind of take the bait over here. Alright, just gonna keep shooting his big uns. I'm gonna try and mob his orc war boss over here actually. I'm gonna attack some of his archers. Okay. I'm gonna try and hold this cavalry in place here. His war boss is kind of out on his own here. I want to try and hold these guys and kill them. Yep, his big uns here got beaten. I'm gonna try and kill his archers. I'm just gonna sit back and kind of play the game here. I don't feel like I'm in a hurry. Opponent doesn't really have a lot of support units back here. I feel like I'm better supported. Leon Kerr can recover his wounds. The Orc War Boss may not be able to do the same. Forcing a charge out of him, which is what I want. I'm gonna curse all these guys over here. If we can take this Orc War Boss off the field, it's gonna do a lot. I keep trying to pause it. I'm so used to campaign. Let's pile in on these guys. Keep working on... Okay, he healed his War Boss, but he's struggling to get out of this fight alive. I'm gonna chase his boars. His guy's gonna lose his morale. Basically, if I can kill his leader, I feel pretty confident. Let's roll him with these knights. Let's just pile into this fight. We've got this Uranan's Thunderbolt. Let's drop it right here.
Come unto me! Men at arms! Immediately! Ready for battle! We serve!
Okay.
Rise indeed! Hold true!
I think we can still take his war boss off the field. He's coming in with biggins, but I've got spears to help shield myself. And my flying goon squad here, if I can select it properly. Yeah. Alright, now we can just get out of here and chase this lord.
Knights of the Iron! Sorceress!
Let's do the Curse of the Midnight Wind again.
Feel true power!
Just run away from this guy. Okay. Let's get Leon Kerr back over here. Start doing some character sniping. Now all of his cavalry's held up way back here.
Priestess of the Lady! Ready for battle! I am ready!
Paladin can finish off the war boss. Yeah, he knows what's coming now. This is perfect, actually. So as long as my halberds can just put up more of a fight than their price should allow, then I'll be in good shape. Yeah, all of his units got taken out by cheap spears back there, so this leaves me in really good shape at the moment. So this army pick worked out really well for me. So now I just got to focus down the greenskin leaders. The greenskin didn't have the right support back here when I rushed his war boss. He popped out a little early and way too unsupportive. He used the Foot of Gork on me over here, which actually caused a lot of damage. That was pretty cool. It did a lot of damage to his own units too, though. That was pretty cool. Not gonna lie, that was pretty intense. Foot of Gork, baby. All right, we got rid of all those guys. Got my knights back. Let's go get rid of this Doom Diver, which his Doom Diver probably got good kills in this battle. Oh yeah, 76. Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. Okay. Basically, I got my flyers. Time is my ally at this point. At least I think so. Let's just let some of my guys get regrouped. We're gonna make a fallback line here. Fall back. Knights get into these guys. Took these guys out. Let's move these spears up. The war boss is dead. I haven't even used my healing potions yet. Let's get rid of this group. It's just in the way now. Alright, I'm going to charge down into this Orc Shaman pretty hard because he's supporting the morale of these troops. We should be able to get rid of him in a pretty big hurry. Oh yeah, there we go. That's going to do it. Alright, so there we go. Yeah. So my infantry line may not seem all that daunting because it's just peasants with pole arms, basically, but you do not want to underestimate Bretonnian pole arms whenever they're braced. Charging into them will not yield typically real cost-effective results. I find that some of the best units for the Greenskins to charge into the Bretonnians with is actually Savage Orcs. Savage Orcs have almost no armor, and they're a huge damage dealer, so it means that the pole arms don't do as well as they would against, say, a unit like Black Orcs or Biggins, who have more armor, but at the same time, I understand the pick of the Biggins for my opponent. I don't understand the pick of the Black Orcs. Let's go watch the replay. I want to see some of those fights up close since I had to micromanage that one, though. I like Bretonnia. I feel like they have, like, what is funny is they have, like, the skinniest roster in the whole game, but they're not the worst faction. I figured they would be when the game first released, but they really are not. And it's because of all the different things they have to offer with such a limited roster. And the pole arms, these guys, and there's a few things that I didn't point out yesterday that I should point out, and they're worth pointing out, which is that the charge defense against all on these guys is the huge difference between them and their Empire counterparts. So yeah, the charge defense against all is huge. So these men-at-arms with pole arms can defend themselves quite well against high charge opponents with high armor. And Black Orcs are exactly that. I brought 2 Knights of the Realm this time because they're a little bit sturdier than Pegasus Knights, and they're going to hold up better in a cavalry fight where I expect to see more boar biggins, stuff like that. You can see here where I ran into the woods. The woods will definitely help you against artillery fire. But yeah, let's just kind of keep an eye on it. So my opponent's army, he's got Night Goblin Archers are pretty expensive. I would have just gone with like the Orc Air Boys. I think they would have been a better choice. Firing at my Paladin's definitely a waste of time. Believe it or not, he really should be firing at either my cavalry or my pole arms. Those are going to be, or you know what, my archers would make a pretty good target as well, because the archers have the potential to kill his from a pretty decent range. I think I outranged Night Goblin Archers, yeah, pretty significantly. So you can see his Night Goblin Archers when I got close enough to fire, though. He did all right. So yeah, I'm going to approach. Sometimes as Bretonnia, a lot of people play a little bit defensive, but they can go on offense as long as you're able to. You have to stop and take the charge, though, or else your men-at-arms and the polearms are going to perform poorly. So he had all these guys. He had these 2 boars and his war boss hidden over here in the woods. I like the pick of the archers versus Bretonnia because they have an air force, but again, let's take a look at this situation. He may be using this as bait, and if so, it's not bad bait. See how he hides his men in the woods on both sides? And then right here in the center, he's got what looks to be a pretty squishy target. 2 archers and a Doom Diver catapult. Not even think about this during the battle because there was no way I was just going to charge straight over the top of these archers to get to his Doom Divers. That's kind of suicidal. But I think what he's trying to do is bait me into these squishy units with my Air Force, and then he's in a perfect position to pounce here, and that's kind of how you can mob an Air Force like that and get rid of them. I do feel like he's made a big mistake here, though, and his big mistake versus an Air Force is he needs units that have poison attacks. Spider Rider Archers, or actually the Goblin Archers do have poison attacks, so my bad. This is good. This is good. My bad. Yep. Definitely want to bring the poison attacks. It slows down flying units significantly. Yeah, his Doom Divers got some nice shots there on my Knights of the Realm, but even with all that beating, you're going to watch my Knights of the Realm perform pretty decent. These are not bad units. They don't have an anti-large, but they're a pretty solid unit in terms of armor. I'm going to crush these Wolf Riders, and then I'm going to bring the Paladin in to hopefully help support this. I think that's what I was doing, yeah. Brought the Paladin over. I'm going to swing around and charge in here because I wanted to, when he gets stuck here, I want to be able to put some damage on his War Boss. The War Boss is almost always going to have, in the actual battle, I think I can click on the War Boss and it stays there, but it's not going to here. Watch this. Watch what happens when his Orc Biggins. His Orc Biggins are beat up from all my arrow fire. They have a 26 charge bonus. It's going to all get negated. They only have 50 armor. But you can see these guys are just going to get murdered in melee. I mean, my pole arms are not real happy right now because of the poison fire from the Goblin Archers. This is where a War Boss gets in trouble. He was smart to keep him on the ground. These Biggins are his real only protection here. And he should have also had Biggins on foot around. Now, the combination of those two is going to make it very dangerous for Leon Kerr. But it takes either one of those quite a long time to kill Leon Kerr because of his regeneration. And you can see here that I'm putting an absolute throttling on his War Boss. I'm going to force his hand on his potions. He's terrified, and you can see that's another reason why Leon Kerr is so dangerous, especially to Greenskins, is that you can terrify a unit and get rid of him. In terms of the melee, he gets a little bit blobby. He should have charged after my spears and tried to ignore my... Well, I mean, he can't ignore my polearms because I can hit him in the back, but... You see his big boss on the spider get stopped. All of these high charge units charging straight into a unit that has defense. So my guys are going to get a great trade there. Look at the Doom Diver just wrecking my peasant archers. Over here again, the War Boss used his healing potion of toughness. It gets him completely healed, but it's still not going to be enough because the problem with this guy is his leadership. When he gets mobbed like this, he's not immune to that psychology. And the psychology is really screwing with him right now. My opponent keeps trying to get these boar boys away from my spears, so he's losing his support. And the Greenskins, without their heroes, will lose. They just cannot stay in the fight. You can see my polearms here are starting to mob through his guys. After they initially charge him, there comes the Uranen's Thunderbolt right in the middle of his men, which is pretty sweet. I used the Curse of the Midnight Wind a couple of times here too, which is not a bad spell. He's got his Shaman and Here comes my Knights of the Realm charging in here, laying waste to some of his infantry. Getting some nice rear charges here. The Greenskin's going to be pretty vulnerable to that. Then I blob in the rest of my infantry. I should have spread this infantry out and did a better surround. This is an unnecessary blobbing here. This is another problem for a war boss on the ground if he gets routed, is that flying units can chase him and take him right off the field. And then you see over here, it's really hard to pin down Leon Kerr. If you attack too close to his support, he can get away. You have to keep your own support units near to prevent something like this from happening. So right now, my spearmen at arms here are being extremely effective. And this paladin chases down the war boss, and then these two units come back to support the army while Leon Kerr starts to heal up all of his hit points. You can see there the lady would have been in trouble to the goblin boss, but at this point the goblin boss is now in huge trouble. He's going to get hammered. Leon Kerr is going to make mincemeat out of him. He's going to squish this spider like he's a big shoe. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be bad. This is cool, though. Here comes the Foot of Gork. I want to see this, man. He winds up a Foot of Gork. And Foot of Gork isn't extremely decimating versus infantry, per se. But you see all my guys, how their health is already like wavering here. So when he spins up this Foot of Gork, it is actually pretty awesome. Splat! Look at the devastation from that foot. He killed a ton of his own units, but he got a lot of my units there, too. He got 35 kills, which is not bad considering it was used against infantry. It's better versus cavalry. It got my cavalry. It finished off a lot of my infantry that was actually performing really well there. So that was a pretty cool Foot of Gork. And I definitely agree with bringing Foot of Gork versus Bretonnia, because you can potentially stomp out a Grail Knight or a Knights of the Realm, and it makes that spell worth it. In this case, my opponent was pretty much beaten. He's just doing what he can at this point. Look at these Spearmen at Arms deck here, just chasing off Biggins. Chased off all the boars. Yeah, the only thing that holds the orcs together is their heroes. So with the Goblin boss gone and the war boss just died, this orc shaman is the only thing holding together these units around him. And that's the reason why they're not wavering at the moment. They're somewhat eager. You can see these guys out here wiped them out too. But with the power bar the way it is, as soon as this guy goes, there is no more support, and that's how it's done right there. So Leon Kerr spreading greenskin entrails all over the place. His mighty steed covered with the remains of his foes, his flaming sword, at least mercifully cauterizing the wounds of all of his enemies. But yeah, I think the Greenskins can potentially counter Bretonnia, to be sure. He brought 2 Black Orcs. I think that was a mistake. Black Orcs are overkill, and they're feeding into the strength of the men-at-arms, the polearms. I think there's better ways to handle this, and let's go take a look at it now. There's some risk to this, and Bretonnia can bring a couple of different types of armies. Not a lot, but they can bring a couple of different types of armies. So they're not going to be completely one-dimensional, but their Flying Lord is usually a guarantee. In a Greenskin, all they can field in the air is a Wyvern, and it would be suicide to field the Wyvern against Bretonnia. You just don't want to do it. At least not in my opinion. If you do bring it, maybe with the intent of thinking, oh, I'll have archers and I'll lure in Leon Kerr and the others and shoot them to death with the archers, I still don't think it's a good idea, because you won't be able to kill the paladins. They have a healing potion, and Leon Kerr recovers his strength pretty well, and you won't have any other melee units up in the air to help the war boss, so he'll get smeared. So my opinion is don't bring the Wyvern versus Bretonnia. Definitely bring units that stay on the ground. Let's take a look at the Greenskins real quick, though. Again, so remember, charge defense against all and anti-armor. Now, of course, Savage Orcs have good charge, but these guys are cheap, and for their price, they're going to do really good damage versus men-at-arms with polearms. They don't have any armor, so the armor-piercing damage doesn't do much, and that means that these guys are going to have a high armor, or a high damage potential, and the polearms will not have a low damage potential. You've also got Savage Orc Biggins that you could bring. Again, no armor, but these guys are going to cause a lot of damage. I definitely agree with bringing the War Boss. So let's see, right here, the War Boss, because it's healing potion. Definitely should put him on a War Board. You're going to need the speed, potentially. I highly recommend bringing the Potion of Foolhardiness because it makes him immune to psychology and unbreakable because Leon Kerr can terrify him, and then also bring the Potion of Toughness. So I definitely recommend you bring those 2 potions, and you can probably, you definitely want to leave the Wah ability. You're going to need this badly. And then you're going to have to think about how you pin the enemy on the ground. But instead of bringing the Savage Orc Biggins, to be honest, I would just bring the Savage Orcs to help deal with Bretonnian infantry. I would bring Orc Biggins to help deal with the Flying Goon Squad and the cavalry. You're definitely going to want some Error Boys. I mean, if you look at the Error Boys here versus they have better range, and they're going to have more health and better leadership. They're not going to have poison attacks, which is unfortunate, but we can deal with that. So I definitely think you should throw in a couple of Error Boys. You could also do a couple of Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers, but these guys are expensive. So I'm thinking you stick with this here. The Doom Diver, not a bad choice. It forces Bretonnia to come to you, but let's take a look first before we were to pick a Doom Diver. You definitely want a couple of these Goblin guys, and you put them on a Spider, so this is poison damage. And these guys are going to be a critical component of stopping the anti-air. Same thing, give them the Potion of Foolhardiness and the Healing Potion, only 723. These guys are a bargain for what you don't really, you could keep this Slippery. It could be helpful in keeping the guys grounded, or you could get rid of it to save 80 on each one. It's up to you. Whatever you think. It could be worth it, it may not be worth it. Let's assume that we don't bring it. You definitely need a Shaman. At least I think so. And I would say that Shaman's going to be important for buffing the guys who are having to fight against Leon Kerr. So that would probably be where I would suggest it. So maybe grab this like a Night Goblin Shaman. Big Wah does have Foot of Gork. Foot of Gork eats a ton of Winds of Magic, but it can potentially stomp out a cavalry. So I mean, I'm not opposed to picking the Foot of Gork. Pierce of the Bad Moon's probably too risky. Night Shroud's not necessary. Gork will fix it is actually pretty handy, especially if they have cavalry on the ground. So I would say this spell set right here would be appropriate. And then you've still got 2,542 left. I think at this point you definitely want some Boar Biggins. So you go ahead and throw those in, and you have a little bit of cash to spend. Probably wouldn't hurt to go with maybe one more Biggin. Because these guys, like I said, so I would throw these guys against the polearms. The whole purpose of all the Biggins is to take care of cavalry. You have a couple of archers. You got poison effects to try and keep the Air Force on the ground. You keep your Boar Biggins right next to the Orc War Boss. He has to have their protection against Leon Kerr, and it's the only way you can keep Leon Kerr and the other cavalry units on the ground is you have to poison them. And if you want to be more consistent about poisoning them, you could switch out one of these guys here or both of them for a Night Goblin Archer that has the poison arrow. So, like I said, I think that's probably your best bet. Or if you want more mobility and you don't want to protect these guys, you could switch out both of them, like I said, for the Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers. So that would be my pick to try and counter something similar to what I just brought. And basically, you rush in, you attack the polearms with the Savage Orcs. You use these guys to deal with the Air Force, and you use the Biggins to try and take care of any cavalry and the Air Force itself, and the Boar Biggins for the same thing. I mean, it can be tricky because Bretonnia, they have a lot of capability. Definitely have a lot of capabilities. You could think about how to cheapen this up so that you could potentially bring a Doom Diver. Like, you might be able to save some money. This leadership thing could be handy. Everybody's getting mad at me every time I get rid of the Foe Seeker, but you could potentially get rid of Foe Seeker per se. And maybe on the spells, could we save a little money? Itchy Nuisance is good. This Vindictive Glare could definitely be handy. Gork will fix it. I mean, you could make a decision about one of these. So see, now I have enough money for a Doom Diver. So that's probably the way you would want to go, and then bring a Doom Diver also so that you can force the Bretonnian towards you. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Hope y'all enjoyed this one. I know I enjoyed Bretonnia week so far. I'm feeling good about Bretonnia. They're not a complete roster, but they are pretty capable of threatening most factions. I'm not going to say that they're fantastic against every faction, but I still think that they have a pretty decent capability to threaten most factions, or at least annoy them. HeirofCarthage signing out. Appreciate you awesome viewers for watching, commenting, subscribing, all those who like it, send me nice comments, angered comments, whatever it is. You're fantastic. Thank you. And I hope that you continue to watch and subscribe, and appreciate your support. HeirofCarthage signing out. See you next time.